My exams are very simple. I walk in the room, I take measurements, and I leave the room. The doctor who can come in after me can take the same measurements, and our reports are going to be within 10% of one another. It's that simple. Two things set apart an accurate and correct impairment report.
What are those?
Number one is the way that the measurements are taken. I have reviewed thousands of reports, QME reports, primary treating doctors reports, AMEs, IMEs, etc. The one thing I would challenge you to see is if in any of those reports, anywhere in the report in the physical exam, if it states that the extremity measurements were obtained with a goniometer.
I've also reviewed about 2,500 such reports, and I would say that the mention of a goniometer occurs in less than 1% of those reports.
I think that that's probably my experience as well. The second and most important thing in the examination is, are the measurements reproducible?
What does reproducible mean, John?
Well, reproducible means that if I move my arm a certain degree up in the air, the next time I move it, it should move approximately the same within 10%.
I see. Many times I find in examinations that physicians haven't done more than one motion of the arm. So how could they ever determine if the motions are reproducible if they only do one?
Well, that's a very good question. And one of the problems is that prior to the AMA guides, that was okay.
Correct.
A doctor could eyeball, or as we say, perform an exam by inspection, where they would basically estimate the amount of motion. However, in impairment ratings, the exact degree can be the difference between impairment and not impairment.
Absolutely. So you're telling us the evaluating physician has to do a specified number of motions of the arm, just like you showed us, lifting. And I know that it's a minimum of 2 times usually.
Correct.
Second, they have to use a goniometer, that device that measures angles rather than simply eyeballing it. And third, that the measurements have to fall within 10% of each other. And if they do not, then it means the measurements are not valid and cannot be used for impairment rating. Have I got it right?
Correct. And in fact, I even tested myself, and I did my best estimates on range of motion, and I used a goniometer, and the closest I came was 15%.
Wow!
And we do a lot of measurements.
Well, you know what I find so interesting? I'm always very suspicious about whether a goniometer is used when I look at reports and all the measurements come out to round numbers.
Yes.
30, 40, 50, because I know that's just not the way people move.
I totally agree with that. Be concerned if you're reviewing a report where all of the ranges of motion are even or in multiple of 5.